What's up, everyone? Mr. NoobTube Gamer giving you guys another Battlefield 5 gameplay commentary. Today we're playing Team Deathmatch on Wake Island, and yeah, we're going back to World War II again. My last Battlefield video was the first Battlefield game to ever exist, Battlefield 1942, which was obviously a World War II game. So we're doing World War II again. I figured since we're really close to getting the official reveal for Battlefield 6, I know the trailer's been leaked out for a couple weeks, but we're probably going to start seeing some gameplay soon, and more details are going to start coming out about what the game's going to be. I think now's a pretty good time to reflect on the most recent game in the series, Battlefield 5. In this video, I want to take a look back at Battlefield 5, what EA and DICE did right with the game, what they did wrong, and how they can use that to improve the series going forward, because there's definitely a lot of improvement to make. I did a poll a couple of months ago asking what is the worst Battlefield game of all time, and Battlefield 5 got almost 60% of the entire vote. People hate this game so much. I remember in my Battlefield 5 in 2021 video that I made back in January talking about the state of the game, you know, how many players there are and all that. I made that video, and I said a few things good about the game, like I enjoy the gameplay, I think it's fun. Well, a lot of people didn't like that. They bombed the video with dislikes. It still got a lot more likes than dislikes, but it still, like, has a good amount of dislikes just because I said a few good things about it. But I still, at the end of the day, said Battlefield 5 is nothing special. I wouldn't play it over Battlefield 1 or any other Battlefield game. I do agree that is a pretty weak entry in the series, but there are a few redeeming factors for Battlefield 5 that should be discussed. Not only the negative, but the positive should be discussed as well, because the positive aspects of the game should be carried over into the sequel, right? I think the one thing we can all agree on with Battlefield 5 is that the gunplay is fantastic. Definitely the best the series has ever seen. It's just so smooth, so responsive, it feels really good to use the weapons in Battlefield 5. It's great, but at the same time, we shouldn't praise that too much because that's just something that we should come to expect from a new game in the series. Of course, the gunplay should be better. Of course, they should make improvements to the gameplay, but that's the one thing that they definitely did right with Battlefield 5. The gunplay is very satisfying and a lot of fun. Another thing I really liked about Battlefield 5 was the ability to rebuild structures. So you know how there's a lot of destructibility in the Battlefield series? Well, for the first time in Battlefield history, you could actually rebuild certain structures. You can add sandbags and planks and all these different things to kind of add more cover so that if a building is destroyed, you at least have something to get behind, because that's a problem that the Battlefield series has had for quite some time. Destructibility is great, but when the entire map is leveled and it's just nothing but open space because you can't get behind any cover because everything's blown up, you end up running around like a chicken with its head cut off because you're getting shot from all these different directions and there's no way for you to really protect yourself. There's no cover at all. It's just everything's done. So yeah, I like it that Battlefield 5 allows you to rebuild certain structures so that things get a little bit less ridiculous. That feature definitely could have been fleshed out a lot more, especially since you're only able to rebuild certain parts that they allow you to. You can't just build anywhere. Like, you can only build in certain places that DICE says that you can. So it's very limiting in that way. It's not creative. It's not that creative freedom that we know and love from Battlefield, that open sandbox. DICE didn't give us a whole lot of options in how we can rebuild and what we can do with that. They just pretty much said, oh, you can build here, but you can't build there. Hopefully in the next Battlefield game, that issue is resolved and the feature is more fleshed out and is a lot more interesting than it is in Battlefield 5, but it's definitely a good start, and that's a really good addition to the series that we had in Battlefield 5. And this might be a controversial thing to say, but I actually really enjoyed the team play in Battlefield 5. The attrition. I know a lot of players hated the team play in Battlefield 5 because they felt like team play was being forced on them. They gave you less ammo and less health, so you were forced to stick with your squad so they can give you more ammo and more health, and you couldn't really go solo as much as you could in other games. But I personally liked it. I think it was a nice change of pace for the Battlefield series, and I think the game encouraging team play more was actually a good thing because Battlefield, especially in Conquest, is not ideal for solo play. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but considering that there's just so many objectives, it's really best that you work with your team. Even Team Deathmatch encourages team play to an extent. If you revive your teammate, it doesn't count as a kill for the enemy. I know people really hated that they did that, but I thought it really encouraged people to go out there and try to revive people because otherwise reviving teammates was kind of pointless. And I just really loved how seamless and how snappy teamwork was in Battlefield 5. Tossing ammo and tossing health packs, it was so easy. Easier than it's ever been in the Battlefield series. I love how fleshed out that feature was. So there were definitely a few things they did right with Battlefield 5, but there were definitely a lot more things that they did wrong. This isn't just a video of me praising Battlefield 5 and calling it a great game, an amazing game, because it's not. If we're going to be honest, Battlefield 5 is a deeply flawed game that had so much potential, but for some reason couldn't live up to it due to incompetency on the part of EA and DICE. They really fucked this game up so bad. It could have been great. It really could have, but it completely failed. And part of the reason why it failed was because they were insulting their fans, saying, if you don't like it, don't buy it. You're uneducated if you don't agree with what we're doing. And that definitely killed a lot of hype for the game. Not just that they had women in Battlefield 5. I think at the end of the day, if the game was actually good and fleshed out and had a lot of features and was an overall improvement over the previous games, then people wouldn't care about trivial shit like that. But when Patrick Soderlund is attacking members of the community because they have opinions that he doesn't like, that creates a huge distraction and kills a lot of the hype that the game would otherwise have. So that was completely unnecessary. But the whole idea of women being prominently featured in World War II with Battlefield 5, it goes into the bigger problem that the game had, in that it really didn't feel like World War II at all. You want to feature women in World War II? Fine, but try to make it immersive and make it really feel like the authentic World War II experience. You want to have women in the reveal trailer for Battlefield 5? Fine, have Russian women killing Nazis or something. But instead, the reveal trailer shows a British woman with a robot arm, a prosthetic arm that works a lot better than the ones we actually have in the modern day, so it feels more like a futuristic game than a game that actually takes place during World War II. I don't understand what they were thinking with that, but a trailer is a trailer. Still, it showed to be a pretty good indicator of how little DICE cared about creating an authentic World War II experience. And that doesn't only have to do with the way they handled women in Battlefield 5, because that was ridiculous, and it's not sexist to point that out. It's not that people had a problem with women in a World War II game, it's how they went about that, where you can be a black woman fighting for the Third Reich. It's absurd. But no, if you had anything to say about that, you were a sexist and you were an evil person for saying anything about that, even though nobody had a problem with women being featured in the Russian DLC in Battlefield 1 because Russian women actually fought in World War I. Russian women fought in World War II. But them allowing women of any race and color to fight for any faction in World War II, it definitely broke a lot of the immersion. And that's really where I feel a lot of the potential was lost with Battlefield 5, is that they could have done a really authentic and immersive World War II game with modern technology, but they didn't. We could have gotten grand operations with D-Day. Imagine one team storming the beaches of Normandy and then the other team trying to stop them in an operations mode. That would have been cool. Or Stalingrad, Battle of the Bulge. We didn't get any of the iconic World War II battles in Battlefield 5 because they said they wanted to tell the untold stories of World War II. The thing is, those untold stories weren't very interesting. And Battlefield 5 just didn't have a whole lot of content, a whole lot of meaningful content to keep people coming back and playing. The player retention was horrendous throughout the life cycle of Battlefield 5 because they failed to deliver on the live service that they promised. They said it was going to be a robust live service to replace the Premium Pass, and there's going to be so much content in Battlefield 5, but we never got that. And the content we did get throughout the live service, it didn't come in a reasonable time frame. We didn't even get the Pacific Front until a year after Battlefield 5 was released. And the game only launched with 8 multiplayer maps. 8 maps! In a brand new $60 full price game, we only had 8 maps at launch. And they wondered why their player retention was so bad. They thought it was because of the time to kill. They did a whole update where they fucked the entire meta of the game, making the TTK slower, because they thought the fast time to kill was the reason why people weren't playing. No, people weren't playing Battlefield 5 because there was no fucking content in the game. But yeah, that whole TTK fiasco did a great job at making more people leave the game and helped kill it even more. Never mind the serious cheating problem that Battlefield 5 had that DICE never really addressed. It was so bad, I think the hackers in Battlefield 5 were even worse than the Warzone hackers, but not a goddamn thing was done about it. Of course they were banning people, but they didn't actually make it harder for people to cheat in the game. People are still cheating to this day. They never did a fucking thing about it. You don't think that has something to do with the player retention being so shit? So DICE's whole mentality is, oh, people aren't playing this game, so we have to discontinue support and start working on Battlefield 6 now. Not realizing if they just gave us regular updates, gave us regular content drops, and actually tried to take care of the cheating problem, the player count would have at least been double what it was. I think it was crazy how many people were making excuses for DICE, especially when COVID hit back in March of 2020. People were defending DICE saying, it's a pandemic, they're trying the best they can, they have to work from home, but that doesn't explain why we didn't have a whole lot of fucking content between October of 2018 when the game came out and March of 2020. That was 19 months between the release of the game and COVID-19. So COVID's got nothing to do with why Battlefield 5 fucking sucked. Battlefield 5 sucked because it lacked the most basic content, the most basic features from the Battlefield game that we've come to expect. Like double XP, we didn't even get fucking double XP in BF5 because they said the technology wasn't there for Battlefield 5 to have double XP. Fucking World at War back in 2008 had double XP. The whole double XP thing with Battlefield 5 just shows how lazy and incompetent DICE is. And that's why Battlefield 5 failed. And that's also why you should not pre-order Battlefield 6, because who's to say they're not going to do the same shit again? You'd be a fool to pre-order the next game after what happened with BF5. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section about Battlefield 5. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What were your overall thoughts on the game? If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.